One key aspect of becoming emotionally self-sustaining as a human being is learning to regenerate our own energy. Now, when I talk about energy, I'm talking about typically our emotion. The word emotion comes from the Latin word meaning motion. Motion. Motion, of course, means movement. So, energy, movement. You see the connection with all of those things there, right? Great. Moving on. When we are not able to regenerate our own energy, we are at risk of becoming vampiric. We are at risk of becoming dependent upon others to generate that energy for us, and at risk of becoming vampiric, or what we would term to be an energy vampire. When we think about energy vampires, I think often what we're thinking of are those individuals who likely engage in imbalanced relationships, an imbalance of reciprocity, emotional reciprocity within relationships, one person doing more of the gaining or receiving than the other. Now, the term energy vampire itself sounds kind of dark, right? Sounds sort of perpetrator-ish, sneaky, selfish. Their means may be less straightforward. I think those that we term in the energy vampire category, we're typically referring to those who are less direct in their approach to access or acquire this energy from other people. So they may resort to manipulation or trickery, which adds an extra element of hurt to the individual or individuals who are providing this fuel source to this other person. However, any time we are overly dependent on gaining or accessing our energy, our emotional fuel from another person, we are at risk of creating a significant imbalance within a relationship. Now, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't seek support from one another, or that we can't be great resources to one another as human beings, but it does need that we need to be reasonable about our expectations of others. If I can't generate any type of energy on my own, if I need inspiration from others, and I have no ability to generate inspiration for myself on some level, at least sometimes, it's very likely that I'm overusing the outsource of energy from others. If I'm unable to feel lovable on my own, separate from another person, I'm probably overusing or overly dependent upon those relationships or people around me to be able to provide that for me. If I am unable to generate any kind of happiness or joy on my own, I may be over-reliant on people around me to provide that for me. And you see, in relationships, that creates an imbalance that will often cause the relationship to deteriorate quite significantly. Because healthy relationships are all about balance. They're all about reciprocity within relationship. An equal flow of give and take to some degree. And often in these relationships where there is imbalance, what we'll see is that one individual will do significantly better in the relationship and the other will deteriorate significantly within the relationship. And then you'll often see that after that relationship ends, the one who was deteriorating and doing pretty poorly begins to rebound and do better, because that may be the individual who was able to regenerate their own fuel and emotion. And now that they aren't pouring it into another individual who isn't returning it, you see that they're beginning to heal and balance out again. To the contrary, you may see that the other person in the relationship who had been oversourcing the energy of the other or the emotion of the other will begin to deteriorate. They won't do as well outside the relationship. So that's not always a guaranteed sign that that's what's happening, but that is a pretty consistent pattern for that type of issue or struggle within a relationship.